So, AJAZZ has been in the budget mouse scene for quite a while now, and they're one of the latest lower mid-budget focused lineup has the AJ139 MAX, which is equipped with Pixar 3395 sensor and top of the line specs, which I got my hands on for over a month now, and since then it has been in my consistent testing. And so let's dive in deeper into this mouse and find out how well this mouse held in my this month-long testing. Today's review unit was sent to me by Tech Diversity. Tech Diversity has been the prime AJAZZ peripherals importer of Bangladesh, with also importing Keychron and other peripherals also. Today's AJAZZ 139 MAX is available at them for only 4200 BDT. And now onto the video. So let's start the video with a quick unboxing of this mouse. The box this mouse comes in is a pretty minimal one with little to none detail about the mouse. And opening the box, at first we get the user manual, then we get a braided Type-C to A cable. After that we get some fits, and there was no grip tapes included in the box. And finally we have our main components, one of which is the hefty and well-built charging dock, which gives a pretty premium vibe. And lastly we get our beautiful mouse out of the plastic wrap, and that's all of the unboxing. Now let's talk about the shape of this mouse. And this mouse might have been the most precise 1:1 clone of the G Pro X Superlight, minus the hump. As per the specs, the dimension of this mouse follows the 125 by 63 by 38 mm in length, width and height, but in my testing I found out that the length is 124.6, width is 59.6 and height is 3.7 mm. So considering the slight error in my possible measurement, it should be pretty accurate as per the specs. And now looking at the front of the mouse, we see that the mouse is slightly inclined on the right side than the left side, and the middle hump seems to have a linear curve from front to back with no aggressive inclination, and for the back hump is a bit more inclined on the right, which makes the mouse more ergonomic focused. And since the VGN R1 is similarly priced as this mouse, between the AJ139 MAX and R1, we see that the 139 MAX is definitely bigger than the VGN R1, along with the width being close to same as the R1, and for the middle hump, the R1 is bit higher than the 139 MAX. And if we look into the L shape, the 139 MAX shows the same result as my testing, with the 1 mm difference in the width and height of the R1. And another thing that I was surprised to see, that the mouse is almost 1:1 clone of the G Pro X Superlight minus the height, where 139 MAX falls 2 mm in short, but the larger dimension of this mouse makes the mouse perfectly fit in my medium-sized hands. Overall, this shape is practical for day-to-day use in my opinion. As for the build quality of this mouse did felt like a pretty mid-budget centric premium mouse on a hand. And before we judge the rest of the mouse, let's test out if there is any kind of creaking on this mouse. We can see while pressing the mouse pretty hard, there is indeed some creaking to the mouse, both on the sideways and also a little bit while on pressing on the top of it. So the structural integrity isn't up to the mark, but you won't notice that unless you press the mouse really hard on sideways. So there's that. And now regarding to the feel of this mouse isn't powder coated on the body, hence there is no grain surface to it, but even with the matte finish on the body, the mouse did feel grippy enough to hold on, and sweat wasn't any kind of problem while using this mouse. And the mouse also didn't feel hollow to hold on, hence there wasn't any cheap feel to it. As this is a pretty big mouse, so it's quite evident that this mouse was comfortable to palm grip or fingertip grip or claw grip easily. And if you are curious about the weight of this mouse, the mouse as per the specs is 58 grams, but while measuring it, it comes around 60.17 grams without the dongle or the dongle cover, which is slightly more but not that much of a difference. The 60 gram weight is kind of understandable since this is a big mouse with housing a 300 mAh battery. A bit lesser would have been appreciated, and to check whether the mouse is balanced or not, holding the mouse on the top and the bottom, I didn't see any kind of inclination on any side, but while holding the mouse sideways, we can see the mouse is a bit heavy on the front. So the mouse is close to being center balanced, but not completely. For the internals, the mouse is equipped with Pixar 3395 sensor, which doesn't require any kind of interaction, and this comes with 600 IPS and 50G acceleration. And for the MCU, I didn't find any kind of info about it, but how does the sensor perform then? And about that in the performance part. And as I mentioned before, this mouse houses a 300 mAh battery, which seems fair as it comes with a dock and lasted me about 3 days or a consistent 8 to 10 hours of usage every day. on a single charge. And while on the back, we can see that the sensor isn't exactly placed at the center, but to me, that didn't affect any kind of performance of this mouse. And on the both sides of the sensor, we can see the mode switch is on the left side and the RGB switch is on the right side. And yes, this mouse does come with RGB, but it's not the best one out there. You can cycle through several modes while pressing the RGB button, and you can also control it on the software. And on the lower bottom, we find the 2.4 GHz dongle stored in it, which supports up to 1 kHz polling rate. And in case you guys are wondering, you guys are missing the DPI button, it is placed on the top of the mouse. And also the face of this mouse is just average OEM PTFE fit, and it performs pretty good on a hybrid pad like the AJAZZ MP05, which I am showing right now, and it glides perfectly, but I would recommend to swap out the fits in the future. Coming to the switches this mouse houses is the mono pink dot switch, which is one of the best lower pitched if not silent switch available in the market with the 80 million click lifetime. And the side of this button also comes with same pink dot switches. As for the scroll wheel probably doesn't have a TTC encoder in it. Instead, there's something like a F-type encoder, and it didn't perform well in my testing. While scrolling slowly, the wheel does show decent tactility, but if you scroll a bit faster, the scroll feels very bad, and AJAZZ should take a look into this. And checking into the pre-travel, the left and right click does have some pre-travel, but the right side has a bit more pre-travel than the left side. And looking at the side clicks, even though the front button didn't have any issue, the M3 button did have some loose rattle in it, and it was a bit annoying honestly. And now here's the sound test of the switches. Then for the dock. The dock of this mouse is one of the most well-built one to exist under 6000 BAT. Holding it didn't give any kind of cheap feel to the build of this, and it felt like a hefty ABS plastic build. It's got the usual 3-pin charging connector on the top, and on the back of it there's the Type-C port to connect the dock and a Type-A port to connect the 2.4 GHz dongle of it. And on the bottom there's the RGB cycle button, which also cycles through 7 to 8 modes of RGB around the RGB ring of this dock. And if you wanna ask how is the magnet of this dock, I can assure you this has a stronger magnet than the Attack Shark X6, and it pretty much snaps the mouse in place, and if needed, a bit wiggle is enough for the mouse. Overall, I'm a fan of the dock with a minimal look and the RGB vibe of it. For the performance of this mouse is top notch as you can expect. The 3395 sensor performed flawlessly in my testing, and to check if the mouse has a stable connection, we get into the Razer polling rate checker app, and here we can see the mouse has a constant 1 kHz polling rate with 0 performance drops. And in the gameplay performance, I didn't see any kind of jitter, lags or spin out issue on the mouse, mainly in Valorant. And for a better idea, here's a bit more into the gameplay. Looking at the software of this mouse is a pretty generic one, but this is a universal software of AJAZZ mouse according to the website. In the software, the first thing we find is the access to set different function of the mouse buttons and also the debounce time of the clicks. And on the second tab, we get to adjust the DPI and the polling rate along with the lift off, distance and other mouse features. And on the next tab, we get the macro settings. There's the tab to control the RGB modes of this mouse. And on the last tab, we get the app settings. But on the bottom part, you will notice there's the long distance tab, which will ensure the mouse to be operated in a further range, but with the cost of extra battery life. So time for the verdict. Should you buy this or not? And for that, let's talk about the flaws first. The two flaws of this mouse is the scroll wheel and the fits, which are still ignorable if you want, but if AJAZZ makes an upgrade to this, it will make the mouse perfect. But does it mean it isn't perfect right now? No, it's still a pretty good mouse to coexist with the VGN R1, and it's still highly recommended, and the flaws won't make your daily experience any bad. So yes, I do recommend this mouse, and if you want a mouse similar to VGN R1 performance but with a dock for convenience, this is a blind pick in my opinion. And I hope you guys like the video. Do give a like and subscribe if you liked it, and thank you for helping me to reach 2000 subscribers.